it's Eric Foods. It's Friday, so it must be a Buy Day, and welcome to a special anniversary edition of Buy Day Friday. That's right, Cathy and I are celebrating our 27th anniversary
Yes,
today.
we are.
It's really exciting. And we're here at one of our favorite bookstores, the Brattle in Boston, Massachusetts. They've just closed, but I wanted to show everybody the inspiration for the Midtown Scholar book carts. It was here that we first saw book carts at a used bookstore, and we copied them and took them to Harrisburg. They brought them in because it's raining, and at the end of the day, they said we could come in and film these carts. So come on in real quick. And as you can see, they have just about as many carts as we do, except by inflation now, they're up to $5 a piece, which I think, yes, you can get some for $1. So that's really cool. All right, let's go back outside. If you look down here, this is what we bought. Pretty good haul. And we'll go on down. So, especially on Saturdays, when Cathy and I were in graduate school, we'd come out here to the Brattle, and we'd look at all the books on the carts, which were usually located right out here. I'm not going to show you all the amazing things that I got, but here's a picture of where we are now when it's usually filled with the book carts. The other inspiration for the Midtown Scholar that we took from the Brattle was the big sign. If you look up, Cathy, you can get the big sign. Now, we, of course, have a neon, now LED sign, but the Brattle sort of inspired us to have a wonderful sign, and that's one of the great things. Let's get to our box, shall we?
Yes.
It's a special anniversary box. And our favorite thing to do in graduate school was to go, we're going to start with this little book here, was to go from town to town book shopping, right? And that's what we're doing today to celebrate our anniversary. And I thought it'd be fun to go book shopping with an original 1850s Boston Street Almanac, complete with map, which will show us exactly where we're going, and where this is going to be stop one of several stops.
Oh, that's great.
But more to the point, what I like about this business directory is that it shows you, at least in the 1850s, if you wanted to go book shopping, look at all the choices that you have. Literally about 100 bookstores and publishers in Boston at the time. Now today we have the New England Bookseller Guide, but in the old days, they used to have a Boston directory. I also like in this directory, Cathy, the fact that it shows you pretty much where you can not only buy your books, but where you can get your book edges gilded, or your paper marbled, or buy your ink, or get your lithography. And you could even get a shop sign designed while you're in town. If you look here, maybe that's where the Brattle had its original sign back in the 19th century. This was also an almanac, and one of the nice things about the cover of this book is, if you look really closely, you can see that it has the embossed signs of the zodiac on it, which is really a pretty useful, handy book, pocket size, perfect for walking. And now that we've done our book shopping for the day, I think we should go take in a couple quick sites with anniversary significance around Boston. Okay, see you at the next stop. Hey everybody, we're back, and with the help of our trusty 1857 travel guide, we've made it to the fashionable Beacon Hill neighborhood of Boston. In fact, this was so fashionable that it's where Francis Parkman, the historian, chose to build his home back in 1865. Now, Francis Parkman is important in the history of myself and my wife because it was in a class on narrative history taught by John Demos that we first read Francis Parkman's works, and we learned and we're studying about being a historian. And since that time, we've always shared a love for Francis Parkman's writings. I'll say a couple quick things. This guidebook couldn't direct us here because it was published before the house was built. But I carried so many heavy bags from the Brattle, Cathy, that I figured we ought to get ourselves a scale. And I love this ad because that's us and those are our books, which we've been carrying around here. Also, in a little connection to the almanacs that we discussed with the early American almanacs, they do predict eclipses here. So there are eclipses that are coming here in 1857. I can also see when the sunset is, although I have to remember they don't have daylight savings time, so it's going to come a little earlier here than it is here tonight. But anyhow, we were reading Francis Parkman in class, and our professor thought it would be a good idea to assign the two of us to lead the reading for that particular week. And our first date, which was effectively a date only after the fact, was going to get some food and go to the library and discuss Francis Parkman. Am I right so far?
Yes,
Cathy?
that is
Yes.
right. That's right.
And Francis Parkman, if you've never read his work, he's in the Library of America. He wrote this magisterial sort of 7-volume history of France and England and America that went all the way up to the eve of the American Revolution, but didn't actually discuss the American Revolution. Parkman called it the history of the American wilderness, which I think is a neat term. And he was also an avid horticulturalist. He loved the outdoors. And it was really about the prehistory of the Americas. And he was the first to use indigenous people, their sources, and take them seriously. French sources, English sources, mixing them all up into a multi-point of view narrative. Now, he was a Boston Brahmin. He did live here in Beacon Hill in this fancy house. And he did have the same elitist views that many Boston Brahmins had, and they had to do with, there was clearly a right side and a wrong side, and a civilized side and a less civilized side in Parkman's mind, and that limits the value of his work today, but it doesn't take away from the power of his writing, which was really amazing to see. So our second books today, we just picked up this morning on our anniversary. Yes,
Yeah,
Cathy?
that's right.
We won these at auction, and they're part of a collection of Francis Parkman books that are all signed and inscribed by Parkman.
Oh, neat.
And I like this one here because it has the publisher's list. So it shows you that now he's completed his 7-volume set. He's very famous. Parkman's a rough contemporary of Mark Twain, but his books actually outsold Twain in many respects. He was really the only person writing this type of history in the 1880s and the 1890s. Teddy Roosevelt loved his histories, and it was really interesting. So the 2-volume sets were $5, the single volumes were $1. He wrote them out of order, which is also interesting, but eventually he completed the whole series. As I said, this book is inscribed. It's really interesting. It's inscribed to a fellow professor at Harvard, Barrett Wendell, who had written a biography of Cotton Mather. And what's also interesting is that Parkman thanks Wendell in a letter, which is tipped in, this is Parkman to Wendell, for sending him some books and recommending some books. And he says he's going to put it in a treasured place in his second-floor library right upstairs. And that was his reading room on the second floor. So I can tell you that behind that window was a copy of this particular book, as well as the Encyclopedia of American Biography, because that's the book that he put it next to. Also interesting, there's, after Parkman's death, there's a letter, and enclosing the snapshot of Parkman, which was probably taken right across the street at the Green. We just crossed the Green with the letter saying you might want to put it in your copy of the book, which Parkman loved so well. So this, by the way, is part 6 of France and England in North America, and subtitled A Half Century of Conflict. But there were several books by Parkman and several photographs about Parkman at this auction. So I think what happened is eventually the family sold off the library that was upstairs. And this book is interesting as well. This is LaSalle and the Discovery of the Great West. And it includes some photographs of Parkman, including a shot of Parkman on his deathbed. And he did die upstairs on the second floor. But one thing about Parkman was later in his life, he had trouble seeing and he went blind. And a lot of the original sources had to be read to him by his assistants. And this book is actually inscribed to the widow of his eye doctor, Mrs. George Darby. So there's an interesting connection there to Parkman as well. But that's how we met, a love of books, a love of narrative history, and it's a trip down memory lane today celebrating our 27th anniversary. One more stop to go. See you in a minute. Well, we have just enough time for a funny book. We're here at a statue dedicated to a book. A Caldecott Medal winner, Make Way for Ducklings, one of Boston's landmarks, and one of the only statues I know dedicated to a book. If you know of others, leave them in the comments on this video. But we're going to end with a funny book. It's appropriate. It is Beautiful Ducks.
Aww.
And let me tell you, there's some amazing ducks in this book, including, would you look at that, the Indian runner. Quite the sight. We've had a great day here in Boston. Do you know what the #1 tourist attraction in 1857 in Boston was?
The public garden?
No, it was actually Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Ah.
But more on that later. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you'll watch next week and every week for more adventures in the world of books.